Hello everyone, and welcome to my math term project where I have gotten the honor of having Archimedes. So I'm going to be drawing his life and all he's accomplished throughout it. He seemed like a pretty nice guy. So if you didn't know, Archimedes was Greek, which makes sense because all good things come from Greek people. Also a philosopher, so he thought about the wonders of life and how it pertained to science and math. Guess what else he was? An inventor. Yeah, which meant he worked a lot in the field of physics. But most importantly, he was a mathematician, which is what we're going to mainly focus on today. Like other mathematicians such as Albert Einstein and Henry Poincaré, Archimedes made a tremendous amount of progress in the world of math, so he is considered to be one of the greatest mathematicians of all time. Archimedes was born on the eastern coast of Sicily in Syracuse in 287 BC, and he was born to another astronomer / mathematician named Phidias. So there's Phidias, he was his dad. So Syracuse was a center for the arts and science, so Archimedes was able to develop his natural interest and knack for problem solving. He learned from other teachers in Syracuse. There's Archimedes, he's a baby. Not much is known about his mom or his other families, but they did talk about his dad. So after learning from teachers in Syracuse and gaining more knowledge, Archimedes decided to travel to Egypt to study in a place called Alexandria. After studying in Alexandria, he soon returned to Syracuse because he wanted to pursue a life of thought and invention. A large part of the inventions of Archimedes came from fulfilling the needs of others in the city. So it gave him a motivation to continue learning about math and science and gain even more knowledge than he already had. The writer Athenaeus of Nicetas wrote how King Hero II of Syracuse gave Archimedes the task to design a huge ship, the Syracusia, which was used as a naval warship. The size of the ship would leak an abundant amount of water through the hull, so Archimedes invented a screw in order to remove the dirty water. Archimedes' invention was a device with a revolving screw-shaped blade inside of a cylinder. It was turned by hand and could also be used to transfer water from a low-lying body of water into irrigational canals. The Archimedes screw is still in use today for pumping liquids and granulated solids such as coal and grain. While Archimedes was a brilliant inventor and is often regarded as the creator of many mechanical devices, he also made a lot of contributions to the field of mathematics. One of the numerous mathematical discoveries of Archimedes was the relationship between the surface of a cylinder and of a sphere, a work he called On the Sphere and Cylinder. Archimedes discovered that a sphere that has the same diameter as the height and width of a cylinder is 2/3 of the surface area of the cylinder. Archimedes was rather proud of this revelation and found it so significant that he asked for a sketch of a sphere inscribed in a cylinder carved onto his tomb. So below I wrote the equation for the surface area of a cylinder, and the argument Archimedes used to prove the formula for the volume of a ball was really involved in geometry, and many modern textbooks have a simplified version using the concept of a limit, but this did not exist back in Archimedes' time. So below I have the equation for the volume of the cylinder, and now I'm writing the more modernized version for the surface area. So Archimedes used an engraved half polygon in a semicircle and then rotated both to create a mixture of frustrums in the sphere, of which then he can determine the volume. Archimedes had other principles like this that involved mathematical physics, such as his more well-known concept, simply called Archimedes' principle. So the Archimedes principle states that the buoyant force is equal to the weight of displaced water. It is a law of physics that is essential to fluid mechanics. So the formula for Archimedes' principle is the density of object over the density of fluid equals weight over the weight of displaced fluid. There is not a reliable historical source that confirms how Archimedes came up with this concept, but legend says that he discovered the principle of displacement while stepping into a full bath. He realized that the water that ran over equaled in the volume that submerged part of his body. Through further experiments, he deduced his principle. The legend goes on to say that Archimedes was so excited about his discovery that he hopped out of the bath and rushed into the streets yelling triumphantly, "Eureka! Eureka!" which is Greek for, "I found it." I thought this was pretty funny because, well, here's this naked guy running down the streets of Syracuse and the people are probably like, what the hell? Other parts of the principle include that if the weight of the water displaced is less than the weight of the object will sink. Otherwise, the object would float with the weight of the water displaced equal to the weight of the object. Another legend describes how Archimedes uncovered a fraud against King Hero II of Syracuse using this principle of buoyancy. The king suspected a solid gold crown he ordered was partly made of silver. So Archimedes took 2 pieces of pure gold and of pure silver that had weights identical to the weight of the crown. He then successfully immersed the gold, the silver, and the crown in a container filled with water and measured the volume of water that overflowed with each object. He found that the crown displaced more water than the gold but less than the silver, thereby proving that the crown contained other metal less dense than gold. I'd like to add a little fun fact. Did you know that Archimedes actually discovered the exact number of pi? Well, what it was? We actually made pie for Thanksgiving. It didn't turn out that well. But, yeah, he came up with the whole, not the whole number, but probably like a lot of it. I mean, there's just a lot of digits. Archimedes had a pretty epic death. He died circa 212 BC during the Second Punic War when Roman forces under General Marcus Claudius captured the city of Syracuse after a 2-year-long siege. So Archimedes was looking at a diagram and a Roman soldier told him to come meet General Marcellus, but Archimedes was all, "No, I have to finish working on the problem." The last words attributed to him are, "Do not disturb my circles," which was a reference to the circles in the mathematical drawing that he was supposedly studying when disturbed by the Roman soldier. Well, the Roman soldier was enraged by this response, so he immediately killed Archimedes with his sword. So, at least he died fighting for what he believed in. Science! Just kidding, it was probably math. I believe that Archimedes proved to be one of the most influential mathematicians of all time in regards to all he had accomplished. The world is indebted to Archimedes for his mathematical precepts and the contributions he made to the understanding of fundamental physical phenomena. Something I admire a lot about Archimedes was his passion and how much he cared about all the fields he studied in. He didn't dilly-dally with what he really liked to do. He just kept on participating. Through the means of science and mathematics, Archimedes was able to enlighten concepts of physics, which gave way to further ideas of the nature of matter. That's me trying to draw liquid, solid, and gas. I wasn't sure how to draw plasma. I think it means a lot that to this day, many of the principles of Archimedes are still applicable to life, and scientists or mathematicians still look to him as their reliable source. I feel like without Archimedes, mathematics, science, and physics would not have evolved as much as it has during the past 1700 years. His accomplishments were really profound, and he's considered one of the greatest mathematicians of all time by historians. The works of him have made a tremendous amount of progress, especially in the world of math. This is not only a learning video, but it is also a video of gratitude for all Archimedes has done for the world, or rather the universe. He is known as the designer of mechanical devices and for helping with the inception of geometry. He reminds me of my other favorite historical figure named Nikola Tesla. God bless his name. And I love you, Archimedes. I really do. I hope you enjoyed this video and all that it stood for. Long live your legacy, Archimedes. From Mia Torres, Period 1, Trig. let us end on a happy note.